My, I'm so grateful to you. And those of you who have been joining me through this year of war are very, very precious. Every single person who has been living like this year, this year of war with me is very precious for me. But also, I want to say hello to those people who are joining me for the first time. Probably there are some people who see me for the first time. So let me tell you that I'm the guide from Kyiv, from Ukraine, and sometimes you can see me in different cities of Europe. So I can stream from Paris, I can stream from Budapest, from Prague, from Vienna. So please check my schedule and you will find more new tours. You will find the tours in Vienna and in Paris. In Paris, I have already planned them. They are there, but I haven't scheduled them. So in a couple of weeks, I will be welcoming you from other European cities. But today we will focus on Ukraine. Patricia, currently I'm in Prague, and this is my apartment where I am now. So today's tour will be about Saint Sophia Cathedral. Please let me know, have you ever been to Kiev? Have you ever seen this Byzantine masterpiece? Yes, Prague is great. It's so beautiful. I think it's even in some kind of corners, it's more beautiful than Paris. We cannot compare because, in Paris there is sparkling wine and croissants, and there are so many fancy stuff to do, but still Prague is really amazing. Nobody want to go. Lord David, I'm waiting for you there. My business name is Marvelous Kiev, and I'm dreaming about having the victory tour in Kiev. So, Saint Sophia Cathedral. This is the place, the absolutely amazing place in the center of Kiev, full of ancient history, and it's so quiet, just in the middle of the hustle and bustle of their huge city, because Kyiv is huge. It has 4 million population. It's very serene and quiet. And yes, Beverly, you are right. Sophia means wisdom. It's also the name. It could be kind of a name, but the meaning is wisdom. I would like, before showing you the video that I made myself before I left Kiev a couple of months ago, before taking you to my table and showing you video, I would like to talk to you. Today, I read just the random article in Instagram, and I have this idea and have this desire to tell you about Kievan Rus. I would like to tell you about the fact why Russia is called Russia, and how this word, the name of the country, was stolen from Ukraine. So probably you can understand that Rus kind of sounds similar as Russia. But these two words, they are not identical and they don't have anything in common. It's like to say that Australia is Austria. So these words sound similar, but actually they mean different things. They are not the same. So please let me know in the comments, and I will begin my story. Probably will just answer my question. How do you think when Russia became Russia? When did it happen? Do you know when did Russia acquired this name? When this country began to be called like this, like Russia? And what was the previous name? Probably, I know that on with me there are so many people who are very smart, sophisticated, and probably know even more than I do. Many years ago, many hundreds of years ago, there was a huge feudal state. The name of feudal state was Kievan Rus. No idea. Okay, I will begin from the end. In 1721, It was, yes, it was recent history, Fran, absolutely. 7021, Peter the First decided that the Duchy of Moscow, the Principality of Moscow, or Moscow Kingdom should have the new name, Russia. And all the Muscovites should be called Russian people. But before that, it was Moscow Principality or Moscow Kingdom. And this is how the name Rus, which belonged to Kievan Rus, which belonged to the territory where kind of Kiev is standing now, was stolen from us. Why Peter the Great decided to steal the name Rus? Why did he decide to have it, to make it new? Why is that happened? Because he got the education abroad, and when he came back, he decided to make the total rebranding of the country. He forced people to shave their beards, to wear leggings, but it wasn't enough. He needed a new name, and he decided to find a new name. Rus kind of seemed appropriate for him. He decided not to invent the wheel, and he decided to steal this name from Kievan Rus, which was basically Ukraine, which wasn't, it's like 1,000 kilometers away from Moscow, from Russia. So Kiev and Moscow, they are far. These cities are far away, and he decided to give this name to his country, to make it sound more grandiose, to show to the world that Moscow has their old connection with the Byzantine Empire, which wasn't true. Because when in Kiev we had princes, we had libraries, we had Saint Sophia Cathedral that you are going to see today, when we had all this cultural heritage, there was nothing in Moscow lands. There was just kind of mud and swampy land, like frogs. And even the word Moscow in this Moksha language, the people who lived there, it means the swampy land. So that was the idea of Peter the Great. He wanted to make this rebranding and have the new name. And then Catherine II supported him, and she even created commission of the complication of notes of ancient history, mainly Russian. So Catherine II in 1783 decided to rewrite the history and change something to make seem that Russia has these roots and connections with the Kievan Rus, which basically wasn't true. And now Russia has this gloss of cultural and civilized state with a long history. So probably this kind of war, and if it's not war, but different kind of it was challenging for the Ukrainians to give the name to Moscow state. That is why I think that today, when there is war between Russia and Ukraine, it is so important for us to state that Kievan Rus, where Saint Sophia originated, where the temple is standing from the 11th century, because Saint Sophia Cathedral that you will see today was built in 1017. 1017. It belonged to Ukraine. This was our land where Saint Sophia stands. This is our state. This is our heritage. This is our culture. These are our princes. And Russia didn't exist at this period of time. Never, ever, ever, never. So Russia appeared, I believe, somewhere in the 12th century. So if we begin kind of from the beginning, Kiev, you need to know this, because Kiev was the fifth biggest city in the world in the in the 10th century, after Constantinople and some Greek cities. Why is it so important that Kyiv was the fifth biggest city in the world? Because, people get together not just for I don't know, to hang out together. People decide to live together for the reasons they develop in this way. The major cultural things are happening where there are a lot of people can create something. And Kiev was founded in 482. Can you imagine that? Such the old date, so many years ago, more than 1,500 years ago, 482. Then the history developed, and we have the great people like Vladimir, Prince Vladimir. He baptized Kievan Rus, and Kievan Rus had the huge territory, like it included Lithuania, I don't know, Czech Republic and Poland and all these lands. So it was a great empire, Kievan Rus. Vladimir the Great baptized Kievan Rus in 988. Then he built the churches, the stone church, it was called 10th church. Then he kind of created the fundaments, the basis of St. Sophia Cathedral that you are going to see today. And his son completed it. Yaroslav the Wise completed it. At this period of time, Moscow was just the piece, I don't know, the forest. In Russian, it was called Zalesye. It means the territory which is situated behind the forests. Thank you for the date. In 1147, Joanna, Moscow was founded in the 12th century. It was founded by Yuri Dolgoruki. Who was Yuri Dolgoruki? He was the son of Vladimir Monomach. So back then, Vladimir. Why did it happen that such a mighty state as Kievan Rus kind of was destroyed? It was destroyed because Vladimir Monomach has had the son, Yuri Dolgoruki. He went to Moscow, he established his kind of city there, and then he had a son. His name was Andrei Boголюбский. So this Andrei Boголюбский, he asked 11 other kings, like princes, rulers, to attack Kiev. So the son of Yuri Dolgoruki, his name was Andrei Boголюбский, and other 11 rulers of these lands, they came to Kiev and plundered it. So this was the great disaster. It happened in, I don't remember exactly when that happened. That was 1169. I see that in my notes. So 1169, for the first time, Kiev was plundered, was ruined by the son of the founder of Moscow. So he kind of forgot about his roots and came with his friends to Kiev. What happened basically was what is happening now. They took out everything that he could from the city. Now they are taking from Ukraine washing machines and laptops and some other stuff. Back then they were taking icons and golden coins and all the precious things. And even the main icon, it's called Vladimirska icon, that is the main shrine of the Russian orthodoxy, was stolen from Kiev in 1169. So it is still in Russia and it is considered as their kind of cultural heritage, but it was stolen from Kiev in 1169 in the 12th century. And what happened then? Kiev became very weak city. And then Mongols came, Tatar Mongolians came to Kiev in 1240 and ruined it completely. So when I was speaking about the population of 100,000 people in the 10th century, somehow it happened that after Andrei Boголюбский attack and after Mongolian attack, Kiev became very weak, and instead of 100,000 people there were just 5,000 people left. And there many rulers began to change, and Kiev became like a nominal state, not a real power, but a nominal state. And there were many different rulers, up to 50 different rulers. Many of them didn't stay longer than a year, and was a decline of Kievan Rus period of time. And then the territory of Ukraine belonged to Lithuania, to the Polish Commonwealth. So that this is how it happened. And finally, somehow, as I begin my story with this, Peter the Great decided to use this name in 1721. Before that, before 1700, this territory where Russia is currently exists, they were paying money, they were paying taxes to Khans, to Mongolians, and then Peter the Great stopped doing this. So in 1700, he stopped paying the taxes to Mongolians, and in 1721, he decided to have a new name to show that this country, the Duchy of Moscovia, doesn't have any connections with the Mongolians, because basically they were kind of appointed by the Mongolians to collect the taxes from the nearby states and then send these taxes to the Mongolians, to this Khanate. So the fact that Russia stole the name Rus is very painful for Ukrainians. And now when there is war, I would like to begin this story, the story of Saint Sophia Cathedral, with these explanations, how Russia became Rus, and that this word Rus doesn't mean kind of Russia. They really, through many, many centuries, Peter the Great, then Catherine II, and all other historians, they tried to make it kind of coincide. They wanted for the people to sound it similar, Rus and Russia. Rus and Russia, and people begin to think that, oh, this is probably country, Russia is a country that has some kind of connections with Kievan Rus, and this country has the connections with the Byzantine Empire and all other states that like that were respected back then. I would like to tell you that it is not. I would like to tell you that this is our part of history, and Saint Sophia Cathedral, as and this period of time of Kiev and Rus, is not connected with Russia. Peter the Great just stole the name. Probably it's a habit of Russians to steal the names. Who knows? Because, for example, Lithuania and Czech Republic is not called Rus. They have their own names now. So let me take you to my table, and I will show you the video of Saint Sophia Cathedral. Dottie is writing. Dottie visited Saint Sophia in 1980. It is great. It doesn't change. It doesn't change since then. Thank you so much, Julia, for your tip. Thank you so much for supporting me. What is great about Saint Sophia, that it hasn't changed inside for many centuries. So it was built in 1017, finished in 1037, and since then inside it's almost intact. This is why it is a unique place. So I'm inviting you inside the most respected, inside the most beautiful place of Ukraine. I can state that this is the place where Ukrainian heart is beating. And I'm not exaggerating, because there is a legend, and the legend has it that until Saint Sophia is standing, until the huge mosaic, it is called Oranta, is existing, until it exists, Ukraine is standing. Ukraine will stand. So the Russians hasn't ruined Saint Sophia Cathedral yet. They hasn't ruined great Oranta, which is standing for more than 1,000 years. and it is great. I hope that it will stand forever and for a long period of time. So it will wait for you to come and to see everything with your own eyes. Thank you so much, Jenny, for tipping. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much, Ellison. Thank you for this wonderful gesture of support. I'm very grateful for all of you. So I'm taking you and we are going inside. Please let me know, did you know about this fact of Rus and Russia and how the name originated? I think that even many Ukrainians are not aware of the fact that Russia doesn't have any connection with the Kievan Rus. They will never get their hands on it. I hope so, Melanie. I hope. And it's been neglected. This story was neglected for a long time. And during the Soviet era, we have this narrative, we have this story that we have the common history that Russians are like big brothers to ours, and they are ancient and big, and they can protect ours, like Ukraine. And we are three nations: Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, and we form these Slavic brotherly nations. When we now begin to investigate, to dig, and to bury out all these layers of history, we see, like Peter the Great stole, Catherine the Great ordered to rewrite the history, to destroy the different ancient sources where it could be like these facts could be proven. But what is good? It is good that in Athens, in Greece, in Turkey, and in other chronicles, it's not ruined. So we can prove that when Kievan Rus was standing, when Saint Sophia was built, Russia didn't exist, never, like it didn't exist ever, and it doesn't have any connection to the Kievan Rus heritage. First time hearing that history. My great late mother's name was Sophia, Polish background. Sophia is very popular name in Ukraine, in Poland as well. Yes, it's not a top; it's kind of a hoodie. So I decided to start my YouTube channel, and I decided to buy something beautiful. So it's embroidered hoodie. I'm going to wear it outside, and it has like it's in colors of Ukrainian flag, blue and yellow. So let me show you Saint Sophia inside. I've already used 20 minutes of our tour, and we are beginning with all this vibe of ancient Kiev. Now I am taking you to the most beautiful metro station in Ukraine. It is called Golden Gate. Golden Gate was built by Yaroslav the Wise, the person who also built Saint Sophia Cathedral. Golden Gate was built in at the same time as Saint Sophia at the beginning of the 11th century. And I want to show you the style of ancient Rus, of Kievan Rus. This metro station is the place where people and teachers are bringing the students to learn the names of Ukrainian princes, because it has amazing mosaics. Let's go inside and then to Saint Sophia Cathedral. So here we are. That is the metro station. Beautiful chandeliers, and this metro station was opened during the Soviet era, I think 1960s, but it was built in total secrecy, in secret, because Soviets, they were denying this. They were not actually denying the history, but they were they banned Ukrainians and Soviet Ukraine from glorifying it. So that is why they banned us to build such beautiful metro station. So they covered everything with the white clothes. So before them, these Soviet leaders came and approved the station. And when at the day when it was approved, they just uncovered, they took away this white like pieces of clothes, and it was late to change everything. It is called Golden Gate, and it is totally built in the style of the old Kievan Rus. Uh, it has beautiful chandeliers, and it's one of the most kind of one of the deepest metro stations in the world. It's about 100 meters, and the deepest one is close to it. It is 100 meters and 5. So the deepest metro station in the world is in Ukraine. So we came out from the metro station, and we are looking at the Saint Sophia Square, which is just near the entrance to the Majestic complex. Now it is covered with the portraits of the soldiers who lost their lives. They are members of the Azov battalion. I'm sure you have heard about this name, Azov. So they were very brave warriors, and many of them died. When you look at the dates of the death, you may see that many of them are very young. So many of them were born in the 1990s, like 1997, for example. Can you see, for example, this guy? He was born in 1997. The lady, for example. Probably you have their daughters or the sons, but probably your children are of the same age as this guy. Um, and this is also the tragedy of my nation now. So that is Saint Sophia Cathedral, majestic bell tower. Um, and now we are going to enter inside. But before entering inside, I just wanted to show you the beauty of outside. I just remember this sunny day. So when I was leaving Kiev, these were the last sunny days of December, and it was amazing that kind of the weather allowed me to do this shooting. Can you see the date? 2001. So many young generation, like people who belonged to young generation, died. I even don't know how we are going to cope with this, and how we are going to rebuild, not even to rebuild, but to kind of we will not be able to have new people. This will take time for the new kids to be born, and for them to grow. That is the monument of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, and currently all the monuments in Kiev are covered with these huge plates. They could be made from metal or from wood. You see, there are not so many people now. Uh, and still, this is the majestic entrance to the whole complex. So Kiev is the city which has crazy hustle and bustle, and the noise of the cars and the subway and thousands of passerby. But there is some place for where you can find peace, and this complex, Saint Sophia Cathedral and the courtyard. um, Sometimes I feel that this big city can swallow me, and when I have time I can just go there in the courtyard, pay €1. This is the price to go inside. Can you contemplate and understand the entrance fee is €1 to enter the territory. It's very cheap. And I find myself in the heart of Ukraine. So this is the place where you can really feel, you can feel this place with your heart. And this is the place where the silence lives. Um, so that is the historical center of the city. And the Cathedral of Saint Sophia, which means wisdom, has been standing here for thousands of years. This is the oldest Christian church, and it's unique because it's being preserved. It has been fully preserved from that period of time. It's the cradle of Kiev Christianity. It's cradle of our culture, of our statehood, and it resembles it, glorifies the wisdom of God. Um, for the Christian people, it was important to preserve this building, and Saint Sophia has always been identified as the wisdom of the new Christian religion, because, as I have told you, this cathedral was built just after Kievan Rus was baptized by Vladimir the Great. So Vladimir the Great baptized Kievan Rus in 988, and he started building the churches and the cathedrals. So this is our main landmark. This is the universal symbol of our cultural heritage, and it bears the name Sophia in analogy of the Saint Sophia of Constantinople. Um, and for centuries, this has been the main shrine of Rus, of Ukraine, and this is the kind of the center of the highest wisdom. So these are the bells they are ringing, and they symbolize the souls of the kids who were killed by Russians when they invaded Ukraine. So up to now, 481 kids were killed, and these bells they symbolize the souls, the angels who are singing from the heaven to us. Let's listen for a second and just commemorate the kids who died during this war. So that is the stunning Saint Sophia Cathedral. It's the oldest surviving church in the Kievan Rus, and it dates back to the 11th century. Um, so it's really magnificent place, very, very quiet. And it belongs to the UNESCO heritage site. It has very spacious territory, and as you can see, there is kind of white parts and brown parts. So these are the original walls, but during the centuries they were transformed into the white color. So at first, when Saint Sophia was built, it has brown color because temples were looking similar to those temples built in Byzantine Empire, and inside they were decorated with mosaics, frescoes, and looked like real masterpieces. It has the huge golden dome, and it's being seen from everywhere in the city. So this is the big bell tower. Bell tower was built later in the 17th century. It's 76 meters high. This is about 250 feet. On the second tier, there is the biggest and the oldest bell in Ukraine. It's called Mazepa because the commander of the Cossacks army has this name Mazepa, and Mazepa reconstructed Saint Sophia Cathedral in the 17th century. So the bell tower is decorated with the moldings, and it has the It's built as a pyramid, as a stepped pyramid, and consists of 4 tiers. So I'm approaching the walls of St. Sophia Cathedral to show you the real walls of the 11th century. When the Yaroslav the Wise and his father, Prince Vladimir, decided to build it, there were no stones. So the Yaroslav the Wise was ordered to bring stones. So everyone who was entering the city, there was a tax. People had to bring stones, and from these stones, Golden Gate were built, and Saint Sophia Cathedral was built. Yaroslav the Wise, who built this beautiful church, has the huge love for the books, and he created the first library there. Does the blue and white color scheme represent anything special? It has absolutely beautiful, striking blue and white color, and it doesn't represent, I think, anything special. The moldings are white, and they are on this beautiful kind of pale blue background, and it's strikingly beautiful. There are symbols and the hidden images behind the moldings. For example, this one are the Cossacks. I will stop for a second, just here. So so there are different kind of hidden image and message behind the moldings, not the color. For example, Cossacks, they represent the Cossack power, and Mazepa was the hetman, the ruler of the Cossacks army. They invested so much money in building, not building, but reconstruction of this church, and that is why they even depicted Cossacks as angels at the entrance. Thank you so much, Dorothy, for tipping. So this is the walls where the oldest legend library was established by Yaroslav the Wise. It disappeared after the Mongolians conquered Kiev. And even now in the corridors of St. Sophia Cathedral and in the undergrounds, the historians are still looking for this famous library. Can you show us the bells? Patricia, this is the video. Probably I will go back at the end of the tour, because if I stop it now, begin to find this place in the video, then to go back, it's challenging. I will make this at the end of the tour, and I will try to show you the bells, and you will make the picture of that. So this church is really beautiful inside and outside. It is unique because the centuries of history are hidden here, and that is it's very important for Ukraine. It was built on the place of the victorious battle where Kiev residents defeated the Pechenegs. They were the nomadic tribes, often attacking Kiev, and that is why Yaroslav the Wise decided to build it on this glorious place of the victory. So I will bring you a little bit closer and show you these are the Cossacks as angels. And it's the Baroque, Ukrainian Baroque. So that is why it's so beautiful and sophisticated. Thank you so much, Mary, for tipping. Thank you so much, Janice, for tipping and for supporting me. Yes, we are going inside the church. You see, it's not the end of the of the video. John, just in a few seconds, we will go inside. So for Yaroslav the Wise, the building of such sort of the place was a gesture to assert the state power of Kievan Rus. And he decided to make it not just the temple, but the place where the coronation happened, the library, the place where he accepted the foreign ambassadors. because, as I will repeat myself, Kiev was the fifth biggest city in the world back then, and Yaroslav the Wise decided to make these great connections with the, here we are inside, with the all European rulers, and all of his 10 children became the wives and the husbands of their world rulers. Princess Anna, she became the Queen Anna, Queen of France, wife of Henry I. And from Princess Anna, many European rulers originated. She gave birth to 3 sons, and Henry I loved her very much. It's funny to notice that, so we are inside, you can see these majestic frescoes. They are from, they have different color. This is because some of them belongs to the 18th century, and some of them kind of the some, you know, on some of the walls this upper layer was removed, and you can see the frescoes that belong to the original uh, 11th century when it was built. Um, so that is why there are differences in color. So some frescoes are brighter than the other. And in this is the wonderful work. You can see this huge kind of gate, majestic gate, and the cupola, um, and all the paintings and frescoes inside them. So when the Mongolians came here in 1214, they spared the church. So this is the our Aranta. It's actually very high, 6 meters high, 6 meters high, and it's all made of mosaics, very, very tiny pieces of glass, painted glass. So it is unclear when Mongolians spared this church. The legend tells us that Mary always was looking in the eyes of the Mongols when they were trying to shoot the arrows, and that frightened them. So they decided to leave the church intact, because when they entered inside and wanted to ruin it, they were using these arrows. This mother of God, Aranta, was looking into their eyes from every kind of corner of the church. And that is why Batый Khan, the grandson of Chinggis Khan, he ordered not to touch it. So this is the interior of St. Sophia Cathedral. It remained absolutely intact, authentic. The exterior changed during the centuries, and it was brown. Now it is white. I say sometimes that St. Sophia Cathedral, like a lady, likes to change the dresses. So now she is in white, but back then she was in brown. There are many rare mosaics created by Byzantine artists, because when it was built, Yaroslav the Wise didn't have the skill to build it, and he invited the Byzantine masters to build it. So today you can see there 300 square meters of ancient mosaic and 3,000 square meters of frescoes. For example, these are old frescoes, and they belong to the 11th century. You can sometimes distinguish the colors and the patterns that for example, I will stop for a second just to fix your attention. For example, these belong to the 18th century. This belongs to the 12th century. So this is the difference. This is the difference, and it's done. So the visitors, when go inside, they may always compare. Like this part was kind of was created much earlier, and this is the part that was restored, because people in ancient times, when they came inside the church, they see, oh, the church is so old, the frescoes are like bleak, they are not bright, let's make it, let's paint it, let's improve it. And they were improving, and that is how we had layers and layers of history hidden on these frescoes. Хорошо, подойди, пожалуйста. We have a second guide. He will say hello to you and go to sleep.
Hello.
Hello. So this is my son. He always likes to interfere my tours, but actually he's always trying to get some knowledge and probably experience. Thank you so much for your hearts. It's a kind of a break. If you are tired from the history, we have this real life conversations. So the idea of historians was to let you know that Saint Sophia Cathedral is diverse in its beauty, and it has multiple layers of history. Also, there are graffiti. These are the scratchers on the walls. Guide in the making. Yes, Lord. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Elizabeth, for tipping. Graffiti. Graffiti, it's kind of... He's doing great. Graffiti is very important because it proves that in Kievan Rus, people could read and write back then in the 11th and 20th centuries. That was very important. People were coming to the church, they were scratching like sentences like, oh, awful, my neighbor is so evil, he stole a piece of meat, I want him to die. These are real words and messages that were found in the walls of St. Sophia Cathedral. So people during the service, they were just scratching things like the neighbor stole a piece of meat and he wishes him death. But there were significant things like the signature of Princess Anna. I have already mentioned her. She was the wife of Henry I. By the way, it's so funny. When she came to France, and Henry I was asking Yaroslav the Wise twice for her hand, for the chance to be married with his daughter. For the first time, Yaroslav the Wise refused, and then he agreed. So Anna brought a book. She brought a New Testament, colored, not colored, but decorated with the rubies, with sapphires, with the everything, with kind of precious stones. I have asked, do you have your book of wisdom? I will ask my second guide to bring it. We are at home. We can make this magic happen, Elizabeth, today. Thank you so much, Colleen, for tipping. And when Henry I kind of greeted his new wife in his home, he saw that his wife is eating with the kind of spoons and knives. I don't know exactly what she brought, but she brought something like to eat with. And in France, they almost wanted to declare her a witch because she was not using her hands, but eating kind of the forks and the spoons for eating. Also, he tore out the book and threw it to the fire to warm himself up, but he kept the precious stones. And also at the ceremony of wedding, at the wedding ceremony, he just put a cross that he agrees to get married to Anna the Kiev. And Anna, daughter of Yaroslav the Wise, she put her signature. I'm telling you this not to diminish France or other countries. I'm telling you this to prove that back then, Kievan Rus meant a lot for the world. I wanted to tell you that Kiev and Ukraine is not just about the invincible people, about the brave nation, about the people who are fighting Putin and his army, resilient people who are dying in the trenches, suffering without light and internet. It is also about the place on the earth where it was the cradle of culture, of history. So it's important to let you, like foreigners, know that when you come to Kiev after our victory, you will see glorious St. Sophia Cathedral, you will see glorious St. Michael Monastery and Kiev Pechers Lavra with the bodies of mummified saints and monks who are lying there for 1,000 years. You will see a lot of precious historical artifacts. Welcome to Ukraine. I hope that I just sparkle your interest in my country, and I could prove to you that it's worth visiting, and it has a lot of significance in this world, and we shouldn't let Russia and Putin to destroy it. As long as Saint Sophia is standing, Ukraine is existing. Let's continue. Let's continue. So we are inside and we are kind of finishing. We are not finishing the tour. I will finish the video, but we have a lot of to see. So this tall mosaic of Virgin Mary that I have shown to you, it's made of different shades of glass. It is absolutely amazing that in the 11th century they could make 177 shades of glass. So it's not unique because it is a mosaic, but it is unique that it has so many shades of colors. This is the tomb, the sarcophagus of Yaroslav the Wise. His body is not there. It was stolen. We don't know by whom, but it is not there. They opened it in 1964 and found out that the skeleton and the remains which are in the sarcophagus doesn't belong to Yaroslav the Wise. So we are inside the greatest sacred symbol of Ukraine, and there is the place, the special wall, which is called Indestructible Wall. So actually, Indestructible Wall, this is Oranta. Oranta, Mother of God, she is depicted without baby Jesus, and as long as she is extending her arms over Kiev, the city will stand indestructible. You see the ancient walls, and they are scored with the old Cyrillic writing. So the princes, this is Yaroslav the Wise and his image, his face. So the princes, the nobles, they would come to this church and they would just scratch records of their marriages, of their sales, of the things that happened in their lives. And for those people who could read these inscriptions of the church, this is the map of the old Kiev, by the way. This is how it looked like. These are the fortified walls surrounded by like the city was surrounded by the huge walls. And there were different parts of the city, parts of Yaroslav and parts of his other two sons. So the historians are still reading and these inscriptions, so they can read St. Sophia Cathedral as a book, because for us, this church is not just the place, but this is the primary source of the history of Kiev and Rus, because basically you can go and read the walls. And also it's preserved many ancient frescoes that decorate numerous and numerous galleries. They are not just religious scenes. There are, so this is Aranta. I will stop for a second. Thank you so much, Dorothy, for your tip. Thank you. I'm very grateful for your support. So on this numerous galleries, you will not see just religious scenes, but you will see depictions of Yaroslav the Wise family, the scenes of his court life, how they were having parties, how they were eating and dancing. And you have already seen the sarcophagus, because that was also the burial place for the Kievan princess. Oh my gosh, I want to show you this. I want to. So this is the mosaic. Every single piece is a tiny a tiny piece of glass, and it's amazing because it's still intact, standing here, waiting for me to come back and to show you it not on the computer but in real life. I remember I was there inside and I was streaming in one of my uh, tours in Kiev. I was streaming from inside. So it's not just the church, it's the place of great political, social, cultural importance. There was also great educational center, and Yaroslav the Wise established there the library, the first school, and he was proud of what he created. What happened then? We talked so many things about Yaroslav and how glorious the city was, how glorious the country was. He had a lot of sons, and they began fighting. So when the Mongolians came and plundered the city, there were not so many people left, and these brothers, they were often arguing who will rule the princely throne, who will be the next ruler of Kiev. And that is why there were too many rulers. This is how it all came into decline, and Kievan Rus lost its significance as the mighty feudal state. As I already told you, it was this territory belonged to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and later Peter the First stole the name of Kievan Rus and transformed it into Russia. So when you hear next time the word Russia, you probably will understand where it's originated and how it all happened. Once there was the mighty feudal state Kievan Rus. It has 100,000 inhabitants. Yaroslav the Wise and built the huge Saint Sophia Cathedral, where he kept all his treasures, and his treasure was books, not golden coins or sapphires or rubies, but books. Back then, he was called Yaroslav the Wise. He understood the great importance of education and of culture. And that is one of the reasons why the world should know and hear the voice of Ukrainians, because we have a lot to share with you and to remind about these glorious days of our ancient history. Thank you so much for coming to me, for being with me today. Thank you so much, Elsie, for your tip. I have many tours scheduled. Please join me in beautiful Austria, in magnificent Vienna. Please join me in beautiful Paris. But most of all, I'm waiting you in Ukraine. I will run. I will run the tour about the new museum of invasion. It is called Ukraine Crucified. I will tell you about the first days of Russian invasion into Ukraine. And please join me, I think, the day after tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. I will see you on Friday to show you Russian boots and how they